Good morning and welcome this morning to the Body Language Show. My name is Ann Washburn and I am so excited to see all of you here. And also we have many people who are joining us online today. And so can you guys just wave at everybody who's joining us, wave at the camera up there so that they can see us all here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I have a question for you. I have a question. Who here has noticed that the holidays are already here? They're like, is this a trick question? No, this is just a real question. Because if you read the email, today's theme on body language is about the holidays. And so this is a really good time for you to spend your time here learning about communication and the holidays. And so I wanted to just check, how many of you have one of these? Show me yours so I know you've got one. Yes? Yes? Excellent. So this right here, if you see on the front, it says the 3 voices of communication. When it comes to communication, there are 3 main parts to our communication. And these 3 main parts to our communication, I can actually draw them in a pie chart. When it comes to communication, studies show that if you send different messages with your words, then your tone, people will actually pay more attention to the tone of the words than they do to the actual words. So this piece right here would be words. This part right here would be the tone of the words. And we know this because how many of you have ever been in trouble for your tone of voice? Yeah, we get in trouble for that. So on average, if these don't match, people 7% of the time will go with what was said. 36% of the time, they'll go with what the tone was. And this other big piece right here is your gestures or your body language. And so, what did that equal? 56? No, 7. 57% of the communication is the body language. And so if you don't know what message you're sending with your body language and it doesn't match the words you speak, which one are people going to pay more attention to? The body language. And so we learn all the time what to do with words. In school, we are taught how to conjugate words, how to put them on a tree structure, how to use them correctly in sentences. But we aren't taught as much how to do the tone of the voice or the body language. And yet that's the biggest piece of our communication. It's also the biggest cause of miscommunication. I mean, just driving here, I live an hour north. So when I was driving down here, I saw a couple of other cars on the freeway. Anybody else drive here? Did you see any cars on the freeway? And as I was driving here, there was this one white car, and I needed to move into this lane, and he was signaling to move into my lane. And I thought, well, that's perfect. We'll just trade. And so as I went to move in, he didn't move, but he kept signaling. And I'm like, there is some miscommunication going on here, because I moved into this lane and expected him to move, and he was still there. And I'm like, even on the freeway, miscommunication can be a big problem. And so when we don't know what messages we're sending with our body language and they differ from the words that we're speaking, now we have increased our miscommunication. And miscommunication is one of the most costly things on the planet. Because this planet that we live on works on communication. It is very hard in our modern world to spend a day where we don't communicate with somebody. We have to communicate either online, on telephone, in person, however we communicate. In order for the world to work, we communicate. If I want my garbage to be picked up in front of my house, I have to have a communication that happened with the garbage company. If I want my kids to do the dishes, there has to be some communication that happened with the kids. When I go to work, there has to be communication with the people at work. And so in order for us to achieve goals, we have to improve our communication. And this is the biggest shortcut and opportunity to improving that communication. So now here's another question. How many of you have a goal that you're working on? Awesome. So then here's my next question. Is this goal something that's really easy for you to accomplish and it's something you've always done in your life? Or is it something that you have not done before that's different than the things you've done in your life? Because Einstein said it really well. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. In order to achieve a goal, we have to do things differently than we've always done them. And until we do them differently, we don't get the new result. But look at how this fits into the equation. If I adjust my body language, I'm doing things differently. And if I do them differently, I get a new result. Then it stands to reason, if I want to achieve a goal, I've got to find some way to communicate better. Because communication is the biggest thing that helps us get down the freeway of life, is communication. So this is why I am so impressed and so proud of you for being here at this body language show today, because by being here, you get the chance to improve your communication. And when we improve our communication, we get to our goals faster. When we improve our communication, we improve our relationships. If we improve our communication, then we improve our bank account. If we improve our communication, we improve every area of our life. So now, if we just look at this as our biggest shortcut of communication, that means if I improve my body language, I improve my relationships. If I improve my body language, I improve all of the areas of my life. So, are you in the right place today? Do you want to learn about body language? Yes? 3 of you. Good. Luckily, I can read body language, and I saw most of you nod. Even you guys at home. I'm glad you guys are watching. Okay, so when it comes to communication, here's the parts that I want to cover while you're here. So in your handout, notice that on the inside there is a second handout, and you can actually pull them apart like this. Because this one right here that's titled the 3 Key Elements University, this is an education company. That's what 3 Key Elements is here for, is education. And this is a list of many of the classes and audio recordings we have inside the company. That one is for your reference, and you can put that one down for right now. This other one right here, this one that says the Body Language Show and has the 3 voices of communication, the reason I put this on the front and I draw this for you, and sometimes these numbers are slightly different, and they'll do just 1%. In all the studies I've seen, they don't vary very much. But the reason I put that on the front is I want people to understand that it's when we send the mixed messages that it causes the problem. So on that, you can even put these percentages next to those. On the back, this is me, and here's a little bit about me. See, we match. That's me. And then in the center, this is the part I want to draw your attention to. And you can even fold your hand out backwards like this and crease it down the side. Because in here, this is some really cool stuff. This part 1, this is, I used to watch people scribble notes about this. And I thought, you know what, if I just write it down for you, you can take notes about other parts. So this part 1, we're going to refer to this many times. Because this is a list of many of the different messages we send with different parts of our body language. Because people's shoulders send different messages than their chin. People's chins send different messages than their feet. Their feet send different messages than their fingers. And so this is some reference of different messages we're sending with different parts of our body language. And I'll refer to this several times during the class this morning. Part 2 and part 3, These are fill in the blank. And I'm a really nice teacher. I'll give you all the answers. And if you miss one, I encourage you to cheat off your neighbor. Cool? Hey, you don't get that offer in school very often. And then right here where this stick figure is, this is where I want to teach you where in your brain your body language is coming from. Because your brain actually runs your body language. And why it's possible to send a different message with your body language than you are with your words. Because when I first started studying communication, I thought, why in the world wouldn't my body language automatically match the words that I speak? And so I really wanted to understand that. And so I won't go too deep into the science part of it, but I do want you to understand the basics of where that body language is coming from. Because when you understand why your brain will send a different message with different parts of your communication, it is a powerful upgrade opportunity. If any of you ever watched my TED Talk that I did last year, then you've seen where I talk about how body language is an upgrade to your subconscious programming. So I'm going to teach you a little bit about that today as well. And then the bonuses, because every month I do one of these body language shows here in the office, and there's a different theme each month. And today's theme has to do with this right here. And that is the concept. Well, to preface it, I have to teach you something really quick. When it comes to the world, everything is made out of energy. Everything is made out of energy. A chair is an energy piece. The carpet is energy. The air around us has energy in it. We are managers of energy as people. That's what we do, is we manage energy. The vibrations that come through our vocal cords are energy that we are managing. So we manage energy as human beings. My background is in engineering. And in engineering, they teach you that electricity, which is energy that runs through the wires in the walls, that if you want to know how electricity moves, then all you have to do is understand how water moves. That water moves through a pipe much the same way that electricity will move through a wire in the wall. And so if you think about that, that gives us the opportunity to understand the energy around us. In other words, if we were all sitting in a pool of water and we made ripples in the water, we would see the change that went across the water. Well, the same thing happens in the energy around us. And so people being managers of energy, I heard myself in stereo there for a minute. People being managers of energy, the one way I like to draw it is this, that each person, it's like they have their own cup of energy that they live in. Now, this energy is affected by our emotions. And so we can have during the day, we can have neutral energy that fills our cup. We can have, I need more colors here. We can have really cool positive things that happen to us during the day. And then we can also have negative things that happen to us during the day. But all of these are parts of the energy that fill our cup. Now, the people around us also have energy cups that they are in. They have their own energy. Have you ever walked into the house when you were a kid and you could tell mom was upset, but you hadn't even seen her yet? Because we could feel the difference in the house. Our energy has an effect on what's going on around us. And so as this energy fills up during the day, if the majority of the energy in my cup has been negative, and it gets clear up to here, anybody ever had a day like that? Maybe in, the holiday season, maybe sometimes we'll have a day like this. When my energy cup gets very full, remember, our body perceives the energy the same way it would perceive how water moves. if the energy fills up here and it's over my head, what's that going to feel like? Drowning. It's going to feel like we're drowning. And so what we want to do as humans is we want to lower that energy. What's the fastest way to lower the energy in our cup? Dump it on somebody else's cup. Because if I can dump it onto their cup, my energy level goes down. Oh, I feel like I can breathe again. But now I've dumped it on somebody else. And as humans, this, we know, we sense this is the fastest way to get rid of those emotions. But now the thing is, we run into social situations. And it's like, oh, my energy cup's too full, so I'm just going to dump it on my boss, right? No, because it's socially inappropriate, and I don't want to lose my job, so I'm not going to dump it onto my boss. So let's see, I'll dump it on the grocery store clerk, right? No, because that's not very nice. Why would we do that? So then we're holding on to this energy, and we walk into our house when we get home, and then we dump it on the people there, right? Yeah, because it's safer. Because if I dump it on them, I trust that they won't fire me, they won't get mad at me, they won't report me, and so I will dump it on somewhere where it feels safer. And so often, that energy gets dumped in ways that are on people that we want to build a relationship with. Okay, did I go too deep too quick? Does this make sense? And so, as I talk about everything we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about how the words, the tone, and the body language can help us with this concept right here. Because here's the big problem that people don't always realize, is that little people have little cups. And so if a little person has a little cup and a big person dumps on them, how quickly will their cup fill up? Really, really fast. And yet we've all been that little person. We've all been that little person because remember the old story that said that, and I won't tell it perfectly, but the boss at work gets mad at the manager, and so the manager gets mad at the peon, and then the peon gets mad at the janitor, and then the janitor doesn't have anybody to get mad at, so when he gets home, he gets mad at his wife, so his wife gets mad at the kid, so the kid doesn't have anybody to get mad at, so he kicks the dog. Do you remember that story? Am I the only one? I should go find that actual story. But it's just a representation of what goes on in our life. And it's not that we want to do this. When we consciously know that this is going on, we want to do something different. But what do we do different? We don't know how to manage our communication. And so all the things that I teach you today, all of them are about communication. And they're going to be focused around body language. But they're also going to teach you how to manage your energy differently. Are you in? Yes? 3 of you. Okay. Well, the rest of you can listen while I talk to those 3 today. Because when it comes to this body language, this is something that's very dear and important to me. Because body language and communication and improving mine has changed every area of my life. Because before, I've been working at 3 Key Elements a little over 7 years now. In November, it was 7 years. And in that time, I've given over 3,559 presentations. So I've learned a little bit about body language along the way. And understanding that communication and that body language has changed all of the relationships in my life. But because before I had this coolest job on the planet, where I get to teach people about body language and travel around, and I go to groups of people that need body language training, and I go out of state, and I go out of country, and I teach about body language. I also get to mentor people. After I teach this class today, I'm going to be holding personal mentoring appointments with people. Because imagine if I wasn't watching everybody's body language and I was just watching yours, I can quickly help people see what's between them and those goals that they're trying to reach and show them how to get past it so they can achieve those goals faster. So that's why I say it's the coolest job on the planet. But before I did this, I used to work in flight simulation. I built multi-million-dollar flight simulators. And my first job out of college, I worked in explosives. Explosives, flight simulation, body language expert, career path. But the reason why was, back in high school, I didn't communicate with people very well. I didn't really like people very much. I realized I didn't get along with the students, I didn't get along with the kids. I was like, you know what, this kind of sucks having to do this every day. So I came up with a plan, and the plan was leave high school, go to the nearest college, see if they'd take me instead. Because that was my mentality, is like, if this isn't working, leave it and try something else. Well, it turns out they will take you at college. And I was like, really? You'll take me? And they said, sure, but we need to know what your major is. You didn't put a major here on your application. And I'm like, major? I didn't know I was going to get to come to college. Okay, why am I coming to college? Think, Ann, think. And I'm like, okay, I'm coming to college to date the boys. That's why I'm coming to college. Isn't that why you go to college? And so I asked the registration guy, I said, what majors do you have with no girls in them? And he looks at me like this, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't need the competition. And he goes, okay then. And he opens his book, because that's how long ago I went to college. They still used books. And he opens his book and he says, well, in that case, how about you be an engineer? And I looked at him and I said, no, thank you. I do not want to drive trains. And he looks at me and he goes, Ann, in our program, there's no trains and there's very few girls. And I said, really? Sign me up. So I went through school in mechanical engineering, and it's true there aren't very many girls. I know, because they called me into the dean's office one year, and they said, Ann, we've elected you Woman of the Year for the department. And you see the irony there, right? And I looked at them and I said, how hard was this contest? And they're like, let's just say we haven't had a Woman of the Year for a while, but we would like you to be it. And I was like, all right, I will accept the honor, thank you. But I don't tell my kids that part. I just show them the yearbook and I say, see, I was Woman of the Year. And it was really cool. I went through school in engineering, didn't have to talk to people very much. When I graduated, I married an engineer, still didn't have to communicate very much. Now, as an engineer, I could work in my cubicle and didn't have to talk to anybody. Life was good. But then I had kids. Anybody have kids? Anybody have kids or have been a kid? Oh, now I had kids and they got old enough to go to school. And so now I was back full circle at the school. Couldn't communicate with the teachers. Got in fights with the other parents. Got in fights with the teachers. Came home one day and I asked my husband's named Clint. I'm like, Clint, why is everybody on this planet so mean? And Clint looks at me and goes, I don't think you want the answer to that question. And I'm like, fine, you're mean too. And this is the way my life was. It was very frustrating. I couldn't get along with people. I didn't even dare ask people at the store where an item was in the store because I was so afraid of people. My son was 6 years old, and for his birthday, he wanted a scooter with the light-up wheels. And I remember I went to a store where I thought they would have them. I walked in the store. I walked all the way around the store, couldn't see any scooters. And the clerk at the store saw me, and he started to come towards me to see if I needed help. And I quickly went a different direction and went out the front door and sat in the car. And I bawled because I didn't dare ask him if he carried scooters. I didn't dare. I was so afraid of people. I was so afraid of communicating. And I was so hurt by the times that I had tried that I didn't dare interact with people. And that's where I was just over 7 years ago in my life. I got to where I would send the kids to school in the morning, and I would lock the door, and I wouldn't answer the door, and I wouldn't answer the phone, because I didn't know how people would interact with me, and it was scary. And so I would lock myself in the house and avoid all communication. And at that time in my life, the loudest comment that kept going through my head was, Ann, your kids would be better off with any mom than you. And I believed it. And so I was in a really low place in my life when one day I'm watching TV, and I had the remote, and I was surfing through the 7 channels that we had. And it was just the same thing over and over again, kids shows, soap operas. But then I came to this one where they were interviewing successful people. And in this particular interview, they were interviewing movie stars. And there was this line of movie stars. There was probably 10 of them. And they were all standing there waiting for the questions to come to them. And I looked at them, and they were standing in ways that I thought, I would never stand like that. So I got up in my living room, and I tried standing like them. And I thought, I hope nobody would ever see me stand like that, because I wouldn't know why would I let my hands be down to my side? No, I should fold my arms because it's safer. And why in the world would I ever make eye contact with somebody? And I remember this is what sparked my interest in communication and body language, because I had this thought. And the thought was, do they stand that way because they're successful? Or are they successful because they stand that way? And so I began studying, or having an interest in communication and body language. Studying it is a different story. It's not like you go to the university and look up the section on body language and take classes. They just aren't there. And so one day I heard that there was a body language show, and I signed my husband up for it. Because I wasn't going to go. There would be people there. But I sent my husband to this body language show, and I'm like, take notes. I want you to come home and tell me what you learned at this class. Well, the problem was, when he came home from the body language show, just like this one that you're at, he found me, and I was hiding on the couch under a blanket. And he comes up, and he lifts up the blanket, and he says, Ann, guess what? I signed you up for a class. And I was like, I don't want to go to a class. I just wanted you to give me your notes on you going to the class. So I closed the blanket, and I'm like, go away. And he lifts up the blanket, and he says, Ann, it's a class on communication and body language. Go to the class. And I was like, fine, go to the class. Well, here's my body language as I go to the class. And I sat in the back row. The class was called Master Your Influence. Anybody here been to it? Nice. So I'm sitting in the back of the room. So when I went to Master Your Influence 8 years ago, there were less than 80 people in the class. Any of you that have been to the class know that now there's about 1,000 people that come each time to the class. So there's 80 people in the class, and I'm at the back because I'm trying to avoid all 80 of them. And I'm thinking, go ahead, try and teach me something. Because I knew it wasn't me. I was trying to be nice. It was all the mean people on the planet that needed to change. I just wanted to learn about communication and body language. But as I sat there, it became clear in my head that when we send a conflicting message with our words and our body language, people will discount the words to believe what they see. And I thought, well, that goes along with my question that I was asking, which comes first, the success or the body language? And so I thought, I'm going to go home and I'm going to try it. I'm going to try different body language, and I'm going to see what happens. And here was the real problem. I immediately, how fast? Immediately, I got a different result. So then I immediately got mad. Because my stubborn kicked in. Who here's stubborn? And then those that wouldn't raise their hand are the really stubborn people. And so here I was, and I was like, dang it, if body language matters this much, how come nobody taught me about it in school? I mean, I went to all the effort to go to college. I went to the effort to graduate from university, but I never learned about body language. Sure didn't learn about it in elementary school or junior high. Anybody been to junior high? Oh, let's go back, right? No, not even with your kid. It's like junior high, good luck. I don't want to go in there. Our high school, I didn't learn anything about communication and body language. Boy, could I have used it. Boy, could I have used it. Because I'm the oldest child of two youngest children. My parents are both youngest children. In fact, my dad was raised in foster care. They teach you body language there, right? Not the way you should learn it. And so my parents, they didn't have a rule book on how to be parents. So I was the guinea pig. So I didn't have anything that was taught to me. I didn't know how I should be communicating. I didn't know how to use my body language. And so I was mad. I was like, if it matters, somebody should have taught me. And so this is when I chose to change my career and go from cool things like blowing things up and building flight simulators. It was really cool. I got to design the Korean Air Force Base simulator. It was really cool to go to make all the airport. It was such fun things. I worked on F-14 projects. Loved it. Left that to do scary things, like standing up in front of groups of people and teaching them about their body language. And the reason why is because my life used to be, well, let's just give you a sample. My kids would come home from school and they'd say, Mom, there's this activity at school tonight. Can Dad go with us? And I'm like, okay, moms aren't invited. And they didn't say this out loud, but basically it was, just not our moms invited. And I'm like, fine. Here, now make this sound for me. Aw, thanks, now I feel better. So I'd send Dad to school with him. And actually I was relieved because I didn't want to go interact with the people. So I'm like, yeah, take your dad, good idea. But now in my life, my kids are excited to tell people who their mom is. In my life, this year I've been married for 25 years. And 7 years ago when I'd been married for 18 years, it was really, really hard. It was really hard. I don't know why my husband stayed with me through all those years. But now at 25 years, we're the happiest we've ever been because I learned about communication. I learned about the messages that I'm sending out to other people. And so because that changed me, I realized there might be at least one or two other people on the planet that could benefit from learning this kind of information. And so that's why I want to share these things with you today. Because it's a shortcut that has worked in my life. And if it's worked for me, it might benefit a couple of other people. Especially people who interact with other humans, who have relationships that they would like to improve, who have a habit of either earning or spending money. So if you've ever earned or spent money, understanding communication benefits you. If you've ever worked with a child or a spouse or a parent or a sibling, body language can help you. All these areas of my life have improved because I understand communication. And so I want to share that with you today. So I'm going to ask you again, are you in? Yes. Okay, but here's the thing. I am going to ask you to do things differently than you've always done them, which means it will not be comfortable. Most of you just quit breathing on that one. Don't worry, it's still legal, moral, and ethical, but I'm going to ask you to get outside of your comfort zone. Because in order to do things differently, it requires that I get out of the familiarity of doing it the same all the time. So I'm going to ask you to be uncomfortable. So play with me for a minute. Everybody fold your arms. Okay, now here's the quiz. Look down and tell me which arm is on top. The answer is either the left or the right? Did you get it right? Yes, you passed the first quiz. You got it wrong? What was the other answers? Oh, so either the left or the right arm is on top. Got it? Now, unfold your arms and fold them back with the other arm on top. Some of you are like, arms don't do that. Okay, how does that feel? It feels weird, awkward. Guess what? You're outside your comfort zone. Now, hold on to that feeling for just a second, because in science, that feeling that you're feeling right there that's uncomfortable, different, awkward, is called cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance basically says your brain cannot hold on to two conflicting ideas at the same time without discomfort. So it feels awkward because it's a new message. Now, okay, keep folding your arms just for a minute so you can hold on to that feeling. But let me explain. Your brain, remember what I just said about the definition? Your brain cannot hold on to two conflicting ideas without discomfort. And so what you've just learned right here is that body language is actually sending ideas up to your brain. Otherwise, it wouldn't feel uncomfortable like that. Your brain is actually getting a different message from you because you did different body language. Okay, everybody can unfold their arms now. I don't want you to fold them the whole class. You might actually get used to that new way of doing it, and then we wouldn't have uncomfortable to work with. But I want you to understand this. When you feel that uncomfortable, what it is it's an opportunity to make a new choice. So let me say that again. When you feel that kind of uncomfortable, it's an opportunity to make a new choice. Because until we see that there is a choice, we can't make one. If we don't know that there's a choice, how do you make the choice? And so we have to actually get to that place where we feel the difference so that we can make a new choice. Now, where I learned this one was back in 6th grade. That's not quite junior high, so I can talk about it. So 6th grade, I walked into class one day and the teacher said, "Everybody sit down and fold your arms." And I was like, "I'm not in kindergarten. I'm not going to do what you're saying." And she's like, "No, we've got to sit down and fold your arms because I'm going to divide the class based on whose arm is right over left and whose is left over right." And she wrote up on the board that she was going to make 2 teams. And she did that often. We got to do different kinds of games. I actually really liked, her name was Mrs. Carter. I really liked Mrs. Carter. But at this particular moment, I saw she was dividing us into teams. I'm in 6th grade. Which side of the board do I want to be on? Let's see if you guys think like me. This side with the cute boy. So I looked around and I saw the cute boy in the class, and his arms were folded the opposite of mine. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to be on the opposite team as him. So mine were left over right, his were right over left. This is how much it affected me. I still can remember that. And so I'm sitting there, and Mrs. Carter's looking at each kid and saying, "Okay, you're right over left," and writing their name here, and you're left over right, name here. And I saw that there were 3 kids left before she got to me. And I'm like, that's okay. When she turns her back, I'm just going to quickly switch my arms. Now you know too much about me. Quickly switch my arms so I can be on the same side of the board as Richard. And so I look over and she puts Richard's name up on the board, and then she looks at the next kid and she turns her back, and I'm so sneaky and proud, I quickly change my arms. No, they were the same. And I was like, wait, arms, I just told you to fold the other way. Okay, we have another chance, arms. So she looks at the next kid. She's now 2 kids away from me. And she turns her back, and I quickly, and this time carefully, fold them the same. No, wait, arms. And so I had one more chance. She turns her back, and I'm like, slowly, okay, And she looks at me and she writes my name on the other side of the board. So that night, I went home and I had a conversation with my arms. Because I'm like, arms, what if she divides teams like this again tomorrow? We have to be ready. And so I'm like, I looked in the mirror and I'm like, how do arms work? And seriously, I sat there for half an hour trying to figure out how to get my other arm on top. And so I'm like, okay, I slide my arm. Okay, so I'm gonna slide. You guys, I couldn't believe how hard it was. And I finally got it, and it felt like this. Got it! And so I was so frustrated that I decided this was my new goal in life, was to be able to fold my arms right over left. And so every day I practiced and I practiced until it became less awkward, to where now it's like either one feels just the same. And I thought about that as I learned body language, and I'm like, what is going on? Because in the body language world, the way the typical person perceives body language is they see it as an opportunity to tell if somebody is lying to you. They want to know what somebody else is saying to them. But as I began studying communication and I remembered this experience, I realized, you know what? There's something else to body language that people don't address. And this is why I was asked to give that TED Talk last year, was because we at 3 Key Elements look at body language differently than the rest of the world. Because what I understood was the opportunity that was contained in the fact that it feels awkward to change that body language, that there's opportunity in it. And because there's opportunity, it also stands to reason that there's more power in the messages I am sending out to other people than the power is in understanding the messages I'm seeing in other people. So let me say that one more time, and I'm going to say it differently. In other words, my body language sends messages out to people. People pick up on those messages, and then they treat me according to the messages they see. And so if I send out a different message, people will pick up a different message, and they will treat me differently. So this is where I started changing and adjusting my body language. And I realized everywhere I went, I had very closed body language. Not because I was a critical person, but because I was scared of people. So I was protecting myself. If somebody feels weak, what do you see in their body language? Slumped. What else? They won't face you face on, no eye contact. What else? Come on, I'm just stretching you right here at the beginning. Defensiveness. What would that look like?
Usually something crossed in front of them.
Something crossed. So they'll cross their hands, or they'll fold their arms, or they'll stuff their hands in their pockets. Actually, these are actual real pockets, which doesn't happen on girl clothes very often. But they'll stuff their hands in their pockets. Anything that condenses and protects is what you see when somebody feels weak. And I realized I always walked around very defensive in my body language because I was scared of people. But that wasn't necessarily the message it sent out to people. Because me being scared can also send out a message, because if you see somebody standing like this, what could it mean?
They're ready to fight.
They're ready to fight. What else could it mean? They're mad. What was that one? They're cold. They're closed. It can mean all of those. But yet, why was I doing it? Because I didn't feel safe. I felt like people would be mean, and so I was protecting myself, but yet the message I send out is different. Do you see what I'm talking about here? And so now people got the message from me that I was ready to fight, or I was defensive, or judgmental. And so now people treated me like I was judging them. Do you see where the fights would start to happen with people? I was trying to protect myself. I sent out a message of defensiveness and, what was it you called it? Judgmental and, what did you call it? Oh, ready to fight. I'll send out all those messages, and so people rise to the challenge because they're feeling like they need to protect themselves now. And so now I've never described that at the beginning of a body language class like this before, so tell me this is making sense. Yes, it was for you? Excellent. And so,
Wouldn't it depend on each person's perception, though, also of what your body language?
yes, and we'll talk more about that because that's the problem. I'm feeling unsafe there, and it wasn't every single person, but if they perceive me as being aggressive or judgmental, they'll respond to the judgmentalness. And so now here's where the miscommunication spirals down into a problem in a relationship. And so now it was like, oh, I'm trying to be nice. All the words that are coming out of my mouth are nice. I was so careful with those words. Man, they were nice words. And yet I was getting in fights with people. And I was like, man, I don't like this communication thing. This is no fun at all. And so then people either go to a place of I'm broken or everybody else is broken, and they try to separate from interacting with people. Problem is, people are everywhere. You ever notice that? Especially at Christmas time, everywhere. And so I had to choose to do something different. And as I wanted to learn to do something different, I first started with my arms. Because I realized every time I got out of the car, I would put my arms into a folded position. And I'm like, why do I do that? And my answer was, because there's nowhere else to put my arms. Where would I put them otherwise? Just dangling down here? That would be silly. That was the story that my brain gave me. Because our subconscious, now I'm going out of order. Okay, I got to teach you this in order. And so let me finish the story, and then we'll go back to why it was happening. And so I thought, I'm going to try not folding my arms today. Isn't that a great idea? I'm going to try not folding my arms. So I put my hands down to my side, and maybe 10 seconds later, they were folded. And I was like, arms, really? Remember, we've had conversations before. We're going to unfold today. So I would unfold them. And then they would be folded. And I was like, walking around like this. And people are like, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm just changing my communication. And it was so bad, you guys, that my fingers would swell up because I didn't actually have enough blood vessels to pull the blood back up because I'd never had to before. They'd always been up here. And so when I'd keep my hands down, they would just swell. And it took a few weeks for my fingers to get used to it, to being down here instead of up here. But as I changed that, I had people come up to me at the schools and say, you seem different. And I'm like, really? This is different. And so I really started delving into this. So these are the things that we're talking about today. It started changing my energy and the feel of my energy. And when the feel of my energy was different, people felt different around me. So we're going to work on communication. Are you going to play with me? Yes? All right. So then what I'm going to need today is some volunteers that come up to the front of the room. Again with the not breathing. You can still breathe. But in order for people to feel safe coming up to the front of the room, especially with 150 people watching us online today, I am going to set up 3 rules. At any 3 Key Elements event you come to, we have these same 3 rules. And so the rules, when you come to a 3 Key Elements class, what's the first rule? Who knows? Did I hear it? Respect. High levels of respect. So turn to the person next to you and tell them, I will respect you till 11:30. Very good. The one on the other side as well. I will respect you till 11:30. Because after that, you're out of my jurisdiction. But until 11:30, high levels of respect. What is rule number 2? Good job. You guys got rule number 1. Rule number 2, they're looking in their papers. Rule number 2 is to be present. That also means be willing to play. When I ask for volunteers, I suggest you respond like this. Me, pick me. Here, try it with me. Me, pick me. And notice the giggling that happened after that. I call that growth giggles because you just got out of your comfort zone. We tend to think that getting out of our comfort zone will be scary and dangerous, but notice you got out of your comfort zone and giggling happened. We don't have to believe that it will hurt. It can actually be fun to grow. And so be willing to play. Now, what I'll do is I'll say, are there any volunteers? And you respond, me, pick me. And then I'll say, okay, now who would really like to come? That way, you can have the chance to push out of your comfort zone and still not to have to come up front if you don't want to. Does that sound fun? Some of you are like, really? I can get off the hook? Because I saw some body language that they were like, where's the bathroom? When she asked for volunteers, I'm leaving. The bathrooms are over there, that's okay. But let's just play outside our comfort zone. It does not mean we'll get outside our safety zone. You can totally get out of your comfort zone and still be safe. Any of you that have our audio library, that's why I recorded the bucket list CD, because that's what I had to learn. Because I had it in my brain that anything that scared me would probably kill me. But it's not true. There's lots of things that scare us that will grow us. There's those other things that will kill us. I stay away from those, like rattlesnakes. Okay. One of my kids got bit by a rattlesnake this summer, and so I'm very familiar with those now. Yeah, and anyway, and how much anti-venom costs. That was fun to find out. But those kinds of things, or jumping out of an airplane without a parachute, don't do that. Don't do that, okay? Jaywalking across the freeway, bad idea. But there's other things, like volunteering to come up front at a body language class, that will not kill you. I have many, many years of experience. No one dies. You got to follow that rule. Everybody? No one dies. So rule number 2 is be present. Be present. What's rule number 3? Manage your communication devices. That means make sure your cell phone's on silent. It means manage this communication device. If you're here with somebody, no going like this. That's for you. What she's talking about. Okay, so manage this communication device. When it's time for questions, ask your questions. Because there's too many of us that went to junior high and there was that one kid that raised their hand and they gave a wrong answer. Everybody laughed and then our brain said, I'm never asking a question. Because if I do, people will laugh. So manage your communication device. Be willing to ask your questions so other people can learn. So 3 rules. What's rule number 1? High levels of. Rule number 2 is to be. And rule number 3 is. Excellent. So now, everybody who will follow these rules while you're here, raise your hand. Even those of you online, I'm watching you too. So, hey, keep your hands up so I can see that I have an agreement. Excellent. Big round of applause for an agreement. Awesome. So this right here is an important piece in our life. If we don't know what the rules are, we don't feel like we can play the game. If I don't know what the rules of basketball are, I can't play basketball. If I don't know what the rules of soccer are, I can't play soccer. Or if I take the rules of soccer to the basketball court, doesn't work so good. So it's important that we have our rules. So the other thing is, I just want you to know, when I go on a tangent, it's bonus material. Because I'm watching the group. Every time I teach a class, all 3,559 times, I watch the group. And I'll see different things that you need to learn, and so I will adjust based on that. So just know that you being here matters. You are an important part of this class, because if you weren't here, it would not be the same class. So just remember that, because I know that we all have little comments that go through our head, and some people are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if I was here. Wouldn't be any different. It does matter. You make a difference to every room that you are in. You are a VIP in every room you come in, because you bring your energy with you. So just, will you help me? Just grab the arm gently of the person next to you and say, it's a good thing you showed up. Good job, good job. All right, so let's now turn in your handout to part number 2. Does anybody need a pen to be able to take notes? Would you grab some pens? Okay, who needs a pen? Right here, right here. So we need some up here on the front row. Anybody else need one? Jerem has pens for anybody who needs one. Okay, put your hand up so he knows where to bring them. Excellent. Awesome. Okay, so in part number 2, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 2 of the blanks. And when you've got them written down, you say, got it, and I'll know it's time to go on. Got it? Got it. Excellent. Reading body language is a skill to find answers and solutions. Yes, you can cheat off your neighbor. Good job. To begin reading body language, I must remove judgment and see movements as indicators. When I see movement, the next step is to ask good questions. Ask good questions. Because remember back to when I was standing like this and you gave all those different answers? How are you going to know which one it is? What kind of questions? Ask good questions. Is this a good question? Why are you so defensive? No. What kind of question would that be? Yes. That was good body language. This was her answer. So if I say, why are you so defensive? That's an ungood question, because an ungood question pushes people away and breaks rapport. A good question brings people together and increases rapport. So if I ask this kind of question, what if I said, is it cold in here to you? And they're like, yeah, I'm freezing. Would you know the answer? Yeah. And was that a push-away question? No. So we ask good questions, because if I just go out and I assume the body language that I see, if I see, because you will see things differently because you came here today. And if I assume that what I'm seeing means a certain thing, that is not going to improve my communication. And this is another reason why we want to start with the messages we're sending out to people. Because if I start trying to, I'm going to say, assume the body language that I'm seeing in other people, then it causes us rifts, and then I will avoid body language. So let's agree to start with the messages we're sending out. Can we agree to that? So let's start with those messages. Because let me continue with my story now. So here I am, and I'm like, I don't want to send out a closed message anymore. I want to send out an open message. And so this is the way my life is going. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so freaking hard. And so I'm like, maybe I should see what kind of body language I'm using with my kids. And so I noticed one day my kids were coming home from school. They were coming in the garage door. And I met them at the door, and I said, oh, kids, tell me about your day. And I'm like, Is that tell me about your day body language? Tell me about your day. And I'm like, that's not working. And then I thought about the result. Okay? So these are two parts of body language. One is the message you're sending out. The other is the result that you're getting. So I saw myself do this. Kids, tell me about your day. And then I thought about what's the result I've been getting with my kids. Do they want to talk to me? And I'm like, they don't want to talk to me about their day. And I thought, well, I want to change this then. And I thought, what is going to be tell me about your day body language? So now in part 1 in the lower left-hand corner, do you see where it says 4 foundational moves? The 4 foundational moves, what you push goes away. What you pull comes towards you. What you hold down stays down, and what you lift grows. And I thought, what you push goes away. And I'm like, okay, that's not what I want. What do I want? Come towards me. So I'm like, oh, this feels weird. Must be a good thing to do. It's awkward. And so I'm like, I'm going to try this. So now my kids come home from school and I'm like, yes, here's my chance. Remember arms, what we're doing? So I get to the door and I'm like, kids, tell me about your, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really? And so you know how things slow down in your brain when you're in the middle of something? And I'm looking at this and going, really? You're pushing them away again? This is not what we talked about. This way. Kids, tell me about your day while I finish cooking dinner over here. That's better, hand. Good job. And my kids look at me like, huh? And I'm like, okay, it didn't work today, but that's all right. I had an adjustment period. So the next day, kids, tell me about your day while I cook dinner over here. Didn't work yet. I'm like, okay, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to get it. Next day, kids, tell me about your day while I cook dinner. And they're like, started to come toward me. They're like, whoa, this is weird. By the 4th day, I had my kids sitting at the counter telling me about their day because I changed the message from push to pull. I got it to match the message I was wanting to send. So now somebody asked me this question. Why would your brain push when you wanted your kids to talk to you?
Why?
Somebody asked me.
Why?
Okay, I'm so glad you asked. Because look what's going on inside your brain. So this is, let's go to your stick figure for a minute. Here's what's going on inside of your brain. Inside your brain, we're going to simplify it down to you have a conscious and a subconscious. Is that true? Did you bring both with you? You should go home and get it. You really should take both of those with you. So you have a conscious and a subconscious. Which one handles more information, the conscious or the subconscious? The subconscious, how much more? Hey, you guys are guessing. That's awesome. I love it. Okay, studies show our conscious mind processes between 20 and 40 pieces of information every single second. Now, that does not mean you can do 20 or 40 things at a time. It just means your brain processes that. Your conscious mind does. In that same amount of time, guess how many the subconscious will process?
200.
Good guess. 20,000. What was yours? Oh, it was you. What? 500. Great guesses. In that same amount of time, your subconscious will process 40 million pieces of information. Because we have something like 3 trillion cells in our body and miles of nerve endings and blood vessels. Your subconscious is taking care of all of that. It's also processing how the energy of the room feels, the temperature of the room, all of the different senses. Your subconscious just is a computer when it comes to processing power. It's amazing in its processing power. So think about this. In a computer, How does the computer take all the random information and give you information that's useful? What does it do? How does it filter it? What does it use for filtering? Okay, your computer filters by using programs. All the programs that are on your computer or your phone, because your phone's a computer basically, all the programs that are on there dictate what information you're going to get out. So on my phone, based on what the operating system is, tells me what kind of information I will get out of the phone. Have you ever had a message pop up on your computer or on your phone that says software update available? Would you like to install it now? Anybody ever, like this morning, right? They're like constant. And then if it's like my husband, we have this Macintosh PC war at our house, right? And the Apple Android phone. Yeah, everybody's got their opinion. Well, my husband's computer, it's like, it is vicious. If it wants to upgrade the software, it shuts down everything. It says, sorry, you can't use me until you update the software. And my husband's like, really? At least on my computer, it says, do you want to do it now or later? And I'm like, later, 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 later. But why do we get those messages? Because software developers know if you're running a faulty program, you will get a faulty result. So let me emphasize that one more time. Software programmers know if you are running a faulty program, you will get a faulty result. And that because sometimes there's security updates, sometimes there is processing updates, but unless you update the program, you will get faulty results. Well, your brain's the same way. In order to process 40 million pieces of information every single second, your brain uses programs. Now, those programs, unfortunately, do not come with automatic updates. Because on my computer, I can say automatic updates, and I can push that button, and then it'll go through and it'll update every time. Well, me, as a human, I have programs in here. But where did I get my programs? From your environment, from our people that are closest to us. And most of our operating system is installed inside of us between the ages of 0 and 11 years old. Anybody think they could use an upgrade to their programming? Yeah, 3 of us. Okay, so here's the thing. That program from when you were 7, aren't you so glad that that program is making decisions in your finances as an adult? Isn't that awesome? What about that one program from when you were 6, when you saw your mom and dad fighting, that's making decisions in your marriage as an adult? Isn't that good news? Or what about that program from when you were 11 that's making decisions in how you interact in the workplace? All those programs become our default way of behaving in our life. And I would just love it if when I walked in the bathroom in the morning, there was a blinky light on my forehead that said, software update available. Would you like to install it now? But it doesn't happen. How many of you know where your upgrade button is? I'm trying to decide how that sounds. We need to upgrade our programming. And if we don't upgrade our programming, then if we have a faulty program, we get faulty results. But yet we don't know how to upgrade our programming. And this is where body language becomes the coolest thing on the whole planet. Because, and this is the answers to part number 3 on your handout. Because one of the things that happens is this. Your subconscious picks the words you speak before you speak them. Because, I'm going to tell you one other really cool, critical piece about your subconscious. Your subconscious does not care if a program is good or bad for your results. Sorry. All your subconscious cares is 2 things. How do I keep you alive? And how do I keep you comfortable? Or, in other words, familiar. As long as the program won't kill you and it's familiar, your subconscious will defend it. Woohoo! Dang it. Because those programs are giving me faulty results. Have you ever looked in the mirror one time and just gone, oh my gosh, I look just like my parents, or I'm doing this just like my parents did it. And I always swore as a teenager I would never do anything like my parents, right? Or am I the only one? It's like, I don't want that program. So I want to upgrade it. But my subconscious says, program's not killing you, it's familiar, we're running the program. And I'm like, oh, fine. So I keep getting the same kind of results. Well, I don't have time. In our current world, information moves so quickly. I do not have time to wait generations for programs to change. I want to upgrade my programming now. And so this is where we need to understand one of the things that's going on in communication. My subconscious prepares the words that I'm going to speak before I speak them, based on the programs that are in there. So my subconscious will prepare and organize approximately 650 words every minute for me to speak. But who knows somebody who can speak 650 words a minute? Nobody. We just humanly can't speak that fast. The little disclaimer guys at the end of the radio commercials, they can do about 300. But the rest of us, we do approximately 150 words a minute. So these 650 get filtered down to 150 words for us to speak every minute. So how many words get held back? 500 words get held back. That's a lot of the message. So what happens to those words? They go out the window. They go in the black holes. They get ejected. Well, that would be nice. But what happens is your subconscious says, I see you could only speak 150 words, but I need the whole message to go out so that people will know what my programs are. Because if they see my programs, they'll treat me according to my programs. And if they treat me according to my programs, I will gain evidence that the program is true and I can defend it greater. Okay? Should I say that again? In other words, my subconscious says I've got to send the rest of the message out so that people get the whole message. Then they'll treat me according to the whole message, and I will have evidence that that program is true. So let me help you out and send the rest of the message out in your body language. So now my subconscious says, okay, woohoo, here's the rest of the message. Here's the rest of the message. And I go, wait, I chose certain words to speak because they were nice and politically correct. And when that person cut me off on the freeway, there were kids in the back seat. So I chose my words carefully. And you're telling me that the rest of the message went out anyway? Yep. So that was my response when I learned that. No! No, please no. Because if that whole message is going out, it means I have responsibility for the way I'm interacting with other humans. And I didn't like that very much. I didn't want to know that. But at the same time, it empowered me to be able to do things differently. Because that may be the bad news, but it's also the good news. Because, okay, and here, play with me one more time really quick. Everybody hold your breath. Now, tell your heart to stop beating. Okay, it didn't work. You can breathe again. There are some things that I can take conscious control over, and there are other things that I can't. Luckily, our body language is something that we can take conscious control over. We can consciously override our body language. Just like I told you, when my kids would come home from school and I was pushing them away, I was like, no longer want that message. This is the message I want. When I override the body language message that's going out, it will send a new message. In fact, let's change our color. It will send a new message back to my subconscious that says, I want to upgrade this program. I want an upgrade to that subconscious program. Because if I upgrade that program, I'll send out a different message. I'll get a different result. And if I get a different result, woohoo! I like that. Because the different result can match my goal. The different result can improve my relationships. The different result can give me different results than my parents had. Because I know how to communicate better. It also can help me like me more. Because for me, I didn't like me very much. I felt very broken, like things didn't work. I couldn't communicate. I was the common denominator in all my broken relationships. So I was a problem. And as I learned to change my body language, I learned to change how I viewed me. And when I viewed me differently, I now sent different messages out to the world, which gave me different messages back to me. Because let me give you an example. If I have a program from when I was little, it doesn't matter where it came from. I mean, we all had parents, whether we lived with them or not. We all had parents. We all had other humans who interacted in our upbringing. We all had other school kids around us. We all had influences from our environment. It doesn't matter where it came from, but one of the programs that I got from when I was little was that I didn't matter very much, and that my job was to make sure that if anybody else around me was upset, I'd better change till they're happy. That was my job. Great program, right? Doesn't that sound like a really good one that would work as an adult? But as a kid, it kept me safe. As I made sure the adults around me were happy, I was safer. And so, as an adult, and in whatever form that is, it could be just, I don't go in timeout. It can be, I don't get in trouble at school. Whatever it is, there's my program. So now here I am, an adult. Yay! People around me are upset. I am going to change so everybody else is happy. I feel awful about me. And so now I send the message out to people around me, I don't matter very much. You can be mad at me. You can be mad at me all you want, because I will just change if you get mad at me. And so now what that brought, because I sent that message out, I got people mad at me. I remember one time I had my neighbor knock on my door, and she started yelling at me when I opened my door. And when I realized what she was yelling at me about, I looked out my door and I saw that her chihuahuas were chasing my 4-year-old around my yard. And she was yelling at me that my kids were bad because her chihuahuas would be in my yard chasing them, and that somehow my kids were bad because of that. And I couldn't figure it out because I'm looking out there, they're in my yard, they're not in her yard. My kids would never go in her yard. They were scared of her. But her dogs would come over and chase, and chihuahuas, they can be really adorable 1% of the time. But the rest of the time, they got like teeth the size of their legs. And they're scary. I know I grew up by a chihuahua. They're scary. And so here they are chasing my 4-year-old, actually my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old, but my 2-year-old was just cowering on the porch. And she's telling me how bad my kids are because her dogs are chasing them in my yard. But that's the kind of result I would get because the message I was sending out. So it made me mad to realize I would have power over that because I just wanted her to be in the wrong. I didn't want there to be a part of me that was sending out a message. Okay, I don't usually go that deep except for usually a group mentoring. Is this making sense? Yes? And I decided that I was gonna cut some of the sugar coating off today because it's the holidays. We all deal with more emotions at the holidays. Is that true? We do. And so we may as well know what's going on. And so as I quit sending a message out that it was okay to be mad at me, I started to get different results. And I remember the same neighbor. I had upgraded the way I was thinking about me, which meant I was doing things like I was standing with my shoulders up more. I would keep my chin up more. And it made me start to like me more. And I worked on this one a long time. But as I got my hands more comfortable down by my side, because hands down to your side is actually neutral position. It doesn't mean you should walk around like this. That's weird and creepy. Okay, don't do that. But it does mean that when you're not using them, you can put your hands down to your side. Then you can use them. You can point. You can give people directions. You can use them and then put them away instead of putting them away here. Yeah, there's directions. And hiding them here. So as I got more comfortable with them here, I felt more comfortable with me. And as I did that, I remember one time I was outside and I saw my neighbor and she turned and she got that look on her face like, oh, I got to go get her again. And she started to come across her driveway and she looked up at me and went the other way. And I was like, oh, I didn't send the message it's okay to be mad at me. It didn't mean I went on all too defensive, like, go ahead, come over. It was just that I was working on liking me more, and the message got out there. Anne isn't here to just be mad at anymore. And it started to change the interactions I was having with people around me. Now, I'm just going to throw this one qualifier out there. Sometimes the people closest to us are used to us being a certain way. And when we start to adjust, at first they will try to push back because they like things to be the same. They have a subconscious too. Everybody has one. You know where yours is, right? Even though you left it home, you said? Okay. So we all have one, even our family members. And so they're also going to try to keep things to be familiar. But it was okay. As I held on to my new ways of doing my body language, the people closest to me got used to it, and they started to treat me differently and better, which also gave themselves permission to upgrade their thinking. So when we can hold on to that new energy, it actually radiates out. People feel the difference, and they feel like they have permission to feel better about themselves and upgrade their program. Okay, that was not in my notes, but I just felt like somebody needed to know that part. Because sometimes it can be scary because we feel like if I change and people around me that I love don't like it, they'll feel distance from me, and that's not my goal. We just hold it for a short time, just like my kids. 4 days I had to hold my new body language, and then they started to get a new result. It can be varying times, but what's important is that we can send out this new message and get the new result. Cool? All right, so let's try this out. I need some volunteers. Good job. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. Oh, let me check. How many of you have been to a body language class here before? Just 4 of you? Okay, awesome. Because I would say this is going to be different than what we've done before, but only 4 of you know that, so that's all right. So let me check really quick that you got all the answers to part number 3, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do up here at the front. So part number 3, I am going to read it, and you guys tell me the answers to the blanks this time. While you are speaking, the brain prepares and organizes 650 words per minute to say. At the last moment, our consciousness filters this down to 150 words. As a person speaks, there are an average of 500 words that are held back, and these hidden words show up in woohoo. You didn't say that part. Woohoo! Awesome. Oh, you guys are good. This is good stuff. All right, so remember that our topic today is about the holidays. And it's about this energy that we're sending out to other people around us. And so I want to mentor all of you a little bit. Is that okay? Half of you are like, what does that mean? Let me explain. Mentoring means I'm not going to talk only about the body language, but also about the programming that I just described. Because when I upgrade my body language, I upgrade my programming. When I upgrade my programming, I upgrade my body language. So why not work on both of them? So when I say mentoring, like I have group mentoring that I hold here in this room on the second and fourth Mondays of the month. So that means this week on Monday, I had group mentoring here. And that means I'm working with those people. In fact, this group mentoring actually had the opportunity, if they wanted to come up on the stage and say their declarations. Now, declarations are part of working with the words of our communication. Because we have communication that goes out to other people. We also have communication of our own words that goes into ourselves, how we think and feel about ourselves. And so, like if they wanted to, there were no have-tos, but if they wanted to, they got to come up and say one of their declarations. And I watched their body language and gave them personal insights based on that body language on what they could do to own and improve that communication very quickly. Now, in group mentoring, I'm always talking about both parts, the body language and the programming. So when I said, is it okay if I mentor you here for a minute? It means I'm going to add to the basic body language knowledge by adding to how to upgrade your programs. So now I'll ask again, is it okay if I mentor you for a minute? Yes. Is that all right? Awesome. Okay, because I wish I would have had somebody to do that for me 7 years ago when I was first learning this. So I want you to get these pieces. So there's the words, there's the tone, and there's the body language. So we're first going to talk about these words. When it comes to the words, we are sending those messages out by the kinds of words that we say, but also the kinds of words that we think. So, holidays. Let's talk about family members for a minute. Have you ever been around a family member and nice words come out your mouth and mean words go through your head? We're all humans. Look at that. And so it's like, oh, I'm so glad to see you. And in your head, it's like, why are they so stupid? Or, yeah, I mean, that one's kind of blatant, but what about this? Maybe we're around a kid and we're talking to them, and let's say it's a kid that just started college, and they're at college, and you ask them, so what are you doing in college? And they're like, I don't really know yet. And you're like, oh, well, what classes are you taking? And in your head, you're going, oh, they are such a loser. They haven't figured out what they're going to do in college yet. You would never be that mean in opening your mouth, right? But we think that because it stays inside our head, that it's legal to say it. But did you know that even the thoughts that go through our head affect the energy that is felt around us? And so, if I take, and instead of drawing this as a cup, let's draw, I've drawn you guys a lot of pictures today. Let's draw it this way, that here is you, and this is your energy space around you. Your energy space around you, you want to think about it this way. Everybody put your hands out in front of you, and or put them palms up, and then put your fingers up like this. Now this, all the way around you, is your energy space. So tell the person next to you, are you enjoying my space? And it goes up here, and it goes down here. Here's your energy space. Okay, so here's this space. Well, the person next to you that you're talking to, their energy space overlaps with your energy space. And so you're going to have some of this where you feel their energy and they feel your energy right here. And so now this space right here as you're sitting here thinking, oh, this loser, how come they can't figure out what they're going to do in college? They feel that message. They feel it. And as you think, you say positive things and you think negative things, it causes a miscommunication kind of energy. Does that make sense? And so one of the things that I'm going to suggest for this holiday is that you practice talking nicer about people inside your head, including about you. So hold on to your questions. There'll be time for questions in a little bit. Okay, so it's not right now, so hang on. So the thing is, I do this same thing when I look in the mirror. Do you ever think not nice things about yourself? And when we think not nice things about ourselves, it changes our energy. So imagine now you are talking to somebody at the holidays, and in your head it's like, oh, they do everything better than me. Or, man, they have way better hair than I do. Or, oh, sure, every time I see them, they look just the same. And every time I see me, I have another wrinkle. We will talk ourselves down, which will also affect our energy. And when we talk ourselves down, this energy, okay, do I dare go one level deeper? Are you guys with me here? So think about this. When this energy goes down because I'm talking down about myself, do you think that they feel that I'm talking down about me? Or do you think they feel that I'm talking down about them? See? So I actually, all right, now I'm just hang with me here, because this is cool stuff, if we can hold on to it here. But as I was driving here, it was just like, okay, no sugarcoating. We're just going to talk it the way it is. Here's the thing. Sometimes we will talk down about ourselves, hoping somebody else will save us. We're hoping that somebody else will pull us out of it. And so we think that we're just sending a message that I am less than. The problem is, other humans on the planet also are talking bad about themselves. There are very few humans who have mastered the art of never talking down about themselves. Oh, that's going to open a can of worms. Okay, stay here for a minute, Ann. And so because they also talk down about themselves, when they feel that energy here, they will feel like you are talking down about them. Even though your intention may have been, save me from my own negative comments, they'll feel like it's them that's less than. So now in the comparison process, both people, especially girls, but both girls will walk away feeling like they're both less than. Guys, they more have the art of have negative comments between each other, and then they both walk away feeling like they're right. Guys do that better. But that's the outward comments. The inward comments feel different in the energy. They feel different. So I would suggest, when it comes to the words this holiday season, for your communication, you upgrade the unspoken words. Upgrade those unspoken words. Whether it's about you, whether it's about people around you, upgrade the unspoken ones. Because remember, our subconscious is sending messages out in our body language. If I upgrade the words, it's going to change the messages going out in my body language. Okay, tell me this isn't cool. No, I mean, tell me this is cool. Tell me this is cool, yes? Oh, because we have more power over this than we realize. We think that we can walk through the store, Because this isn't just people close to us. This can be people that we just have drive-bys in the mall. I go past people and I'm like, oh, I'm not as good as all these people. I can't figure out presents. Oh, that girl has 20 bags. How'd she figure out what to buy for people? Oh. And my energy is being felt by every person that comes within my energy space. So if I want to change the messages overall, the feel of places, I got to start with me. I get to start with me. Because it's a lot easier to start with me than the person next to me. Wouldn't it be easier to change your thinking than the person sitting next to you? That's an interesting reaction. Sometimes we think it would be easier to change somebody else's thinking because then I wouldn't have to work so hard on me. But our real power comes in working on ourselves first. Cool? All right, so the second part afterwards is what? What's the second part? Tone, the tone of the words. So how many of you actually, okay, I'm going to ask two questions. How many of you actually actively try to pay attention to your tone of voice around your family members? Nice. How many of you actually ever have people around you ask you to work more on your tone of voice? Okay, people are like, I'm not going to raise my hand, but I'll nod on that one. Because I'm the same way. I've got 4 boys and 1 girl, okay? And my kids are always like, Mom, why are you mad? I mean, they used to be, not now, because I work on this. But they used to be, why are you mad? I'm like, I'm not mad. Because to me, it wasn't I was mad. I was in a hurry. I'm a mom of 5. I'm efficient. But sometimes efficient voice tones come out the same as angry voice tones or anxious voice tones, because that tone of voice is also interpreted by the people around us. It's interpreted by them. Does that make sense? Okay, so let me tell you, let's talk about the tone, the body language really quick, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do up here on the stage. So the tone of voice, how could I work on that on the holidays? How could I work on that with the people around me? Do we have a microphone? Thank you, right here. Because the people online can't hear us unless we use the microphone. And tell us your first name.
My first name is Shawnee.
Hi, Shawnee.
For me, I think I would have to work on my inside, what I'm saying inside to work on my tone, because it's hard to think about your tone 24/7. So the only thing I could do...
It's hard to think about your communication 24/7. Yeah.
So I would probably have to start with my inner thoughts.
So you would start with the words
Yeah.
before the tone.
Yeah.
And I like how you said that. The words will actually affect the tone. Excellent, excellent. Okay, then right back here. Oh, would you pass it to right here? She'll take it to her. Okay, then right here next to you. If you think of it, then tell us. Did you have your hand up? There you go. Tell us your first name.
Connie.
Hi, Connie.
I've actually tried it both ways. You can start with your just focusing on the tone, and then it reaches back to making changes, or you can start, like she said, with your thoughts, and then it goes forward.
Okay.
It works both ways.
Awesome. I love it. Anybody else? Okay, right over here.
I'm Diane.
Hi, Diane.
If I say it with a smile, it comes out a whole lot better in the tone.
Oh, isn't that cool? Actually smiling to try to say something will change the tone of how we say it. That's a very good one. Excellent. Do you remember? Awesome.
I was going to say that, but my work voice is different than my home voice. And when my work voice comes home, my husband's like, what are you mad about?
Yeah, that when we get down to business, it
Even
changes.
though it's my efficient tone.
Yes.
I'm not mad, I'm just efficient.
Exactly. But remember, they interpret it differently than how we're saying it. And so that's an important, we didn't get your first name.
Oh, Teresa.
Teresa. Hi, Teresa.
Hi.
So that's an important piece that you just brought up, Teresa, because well, no, let's say it how you did. If I know that I have a business tone and a home tone, then if I consciously remind myself it's time for home tone, it can help change the tone of voice. Excellent. Okay, right here.
I'm Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
I work as a nursing assistant in a assisted living, and I notice a lot of other CNAs who talk to the geriatric patients as kids, and so a lot of it's the tone, and I treat them as like I would want to be treated. I think a lot of it is taking into consideration who you're talking to, whether you are talking to a child or an adult. It doesn't matter if they have a disability or not, is treating them as they deserve to be treated, and with that, especially with the tones and the words.
Yeah.
Don't demean them by using, kid words. Don't demean them by like talking to them like they're kids, because they're not.
Because that's an important part you're bringing up. Often we use our tone to get more control over a situation. Just like Teresa also brought up, we'll use our business tone because we want to get business done. They will talk with the geriatric patients because they're wanting to use a kid-like tone to help them accomplish what they're trying to accomplish. The important question that you brought up in there that I want to bring out is to ask, how would I want to be spoken to? What tone would I hope that somebody else used with me? Because when I can do that, that will change that tone of voice.
Because there will be times where one resident will call over and over and over again, and you'll get frustrated. You're like, why are you keep calling me? I've got a million other things to do. And then they'll be like, why are you mad? And I'm like, it makes me stop and realize, hey, like, what tone am I using? Like, what body language am I giving out to them? And I'm not going to sit there and be like, because you're calling a million times, I'm not going to sit there and be rude about it, but I'm like, try and tell them I'm not mad, But
So can I go another level with that? Are you guys okay? Okay, so here's the thing. When it comes to family, if somebody says, why are you mad? It usually incites our defensiveness. Like you said with somebody you work with, you're not going to say to them because you keep calling. But to a family member, we probably would. And so we have to pause with our family members and remember those tones. How would I want to be spoken to? How would I want them to hear me right now? So I like that you brought that up.
And you have to take a pause with them too and realize, why are they calling so much? Is something like internally
Yes.
going on? Is like, because we have
What's another perspective?
why are they calling so much? Are they lonely? Are they sick? Or do they need help with something and they just don't want to ask for that help? And it can get tricky because your emotions will get in the way, and you'll just want to be me. I'm a very forward person. I would want to be like, because you keep calling, and I've got 50 other people to take care of, and
Yeah.
but taking the time to realize, who am I talking to? I have some residents that I have rapport with that I'll sit there and joke around with them, and I'll be like, yeah, you keep bugging me, and like stuff, and tease them, not like demean them in any way, but I have a relationship with them where we joke around, and they do the same to me, and they'll joke around with me, and
Excellent.
it's finding that balance, of your tone and how you because I do treat residents different, because I have different rapport with different residents.
So remembering that, you can use that skill with people that are close to you over the holidays.
See, that's what's hard though, is because I consider these residents my family, but when I go home, it's hard to not get frustrated with my mom and my dad and my brother.
But you can take that experience, and if we consciously think about it, we get a new choice. I love that. Big round of applause for all of those comments. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, so tone. I would love to spend more time on this one, but we got to get to body language. So excellent things about tone. So on tone up here, let's put, so up on the words, we're upgrading the unspoken. On the tone, let's put listen to ourself. Listen to self. And then ask how I would want to be spoken to? How would I want to be spoken to? Woohoo! Okay, so the third one is, what is it? Body language. The third one is body language. So when it comes to body language, all right, I need a couple of volunteers. Oh, that didn't work very well. Let's try again. I need some volunteers. Awesome. Okay, so I need a boy and a girl who haven't been to a body language class before. All right, so let's take you right here. And would you like to come up? Sorry, I saw her hand first, so I'll go this way. She's like, that's all right. I didn't really want to. So you come right here. What's your name?
Joel.
Joel. Joel and? Lisa. Lisa, you're on this side, Lisa. So we have Joel and Lisa, and these are our example of the human race right now. Woohoo! Big round of applause for Joel and Lisa. Okay, so when somebody feels weak, let's get a picture of it. When somebody feels weak, what will we see in their body language? Yeah, so closed arms, head down, no eye contact. Lisa, no smiling. There you go. Yeah, Joel, no smiling. Okay, good job. All right, what else? What else will you see in their body language?
They're trying to get in the fetal position to.
So they close in. Oh, Lisa just did it. They'll go weight on one leg. See, Joel has his weight on one leg. They usually, because look on part 1. Do you see where it says legs? Legs represent what? Balance and support. In other words, your foundation. So you can write on their foundation. So when people feel weak, they feel like their foundation is weak and their weight will go onto one leg. So if I am wanting to feel stronger about myself, what parts do I need to do different? Don't do it yet. What parts do I need to do different to feel different about me? Stand on 2 feet. So put your weight on both legs. Okay, do they look different having their weight on both legs? Yeah. Okay, now because Joel did this, I'm going to talk about this. Lisa, to a lesser extent, Joel to a greater extent, put their feet much wider than shoulder width. Do you see that? So now I want you guys to put your feet just to shoulder width apart instead of that far apart. Did you feel the difference in the energy? Less aggressive. When we put our weight on both feet, but we put our feet wider than shoulder width, it sends the message of defensiveness. So to put our feet just to shoulder width apart, not touching, because touching now sends the message, my weight's on one leg, and I'm easily knocked off balance. But shoulder width apart sends the message of neutral strength. Do you hear that word? Neutral strength. And so if I notice in my body language, who here watches my Facebook Lives that I do on Wednesday? Just Diane? Oh, awesome. If you want, on my public Facebook page, Ann Washburn Fan, all one word, I do a Facebook Live on Wednesdays every week. I've done them this whole year. And they're just little mentoring principles. And one week, this is one of the things I talked about, was that if our feet are too wide apart, we will send a message to our own subconscious that we have to be ready for when somebody attacks us. And so putting our feet at shoulder width apart is neutral strength. Say that with me. Neutral strength. Neutral strength instead of defensiveness. Okay, and so now what else would we need to... Wait, you guys already upgraded everything. Yeah, and you almost smiled. Don't do that. So what else? What else do we need to upgrade to feel better? Okay, so shoulders back. Put your shoulders up and your chin just above level. Don't uncross your arms yet if you can. And don't smile yet. Okay, good job. So everybody, let your shoulders way down and let your chin go down. How does that feel? like I want a nap. It's like it's heavy. In English, we call it the afternoon slump. It's like, ugh. Now pull your shoulders up and your chin just above level. How does that feel? Notice about half of you took a deep breath when you did that. It feels different. Gravity pulls down on us all day, and down feels down. So if we pull our shoulders back up and our chin just above level, and now Lisa will like this one, add a smile, and it actually changes the energy around us. Keeping our shoulders up, turns out Grandma was right, keep your shoulders up and your chin just above level, and smile more often, our energy will actually upgrade. And so now the obvious one, our hands down to our side, and the smile. Joelle? Yes, there we go. The smile. These things actually help us feel stronger. But yet, how do we program ourselves? Every morning, we get up in the morning, we go in the bathroom, we turn on the light, we look in the mirror, and we go, oh, all right, let's go start the day, zombie style. And that's how we program ourselves. At Harvard Business School, they did a study, and they found that within 2 minutes of holding a body language pose, either negative or positive, it changes the hormones in your brain. In 2 minutes. And so if we hold strong body language for 2 minutes, it actually increases our confidence hormones and decreases our anxiety hormones. But if we hold weak body language for 2 minutes, our anxiety goes up, confidence goes down. And yet, what do? And then we wonder why we don't get what we want. We wonder why our relationships suffer. We wonder why things don't go the way we want them to go. But yet we won't change our communication. Now we know. So what would be an upgrade above strong body language? Superhero! Let's see, superheroes. Okay, hold it. Okay, notice the giggling. It's like, oh, this is so outside my comfort zone. I'm not going to do this. So let's add this. Everybody, big round of applause for my superheroes. Hold it. So notice, bigger smile, more giggling. The energy comes in and it keeps building and it actually feels better. So if we watch our own body language, we can improve our communication. And so when you go to the mirror in the bathroom in the morning, close the door. You can lock it if you want. And then really quietly, so nobody hears you, you look in the mirror and go, then you unlock the door and you go out ready for the day. Because you change your energy by changing your body language. But why would we not do this? The bathroom mirror police will arrest you, right? No. So why will we not do it? Because it's uncomfortable. Because it's what we're used to. Okay, so you can put your hand down for a second. Because, see, part of it was her physical, but part of it was her subconscious going, if I hold this for a whole 2 minutes, I'll have to change my program. And her subconscious is like, no, I don't want to change my program. Because see her fingers going over here? See her fingers? That first finger, okay, I don't usually talk about fingers at Body Language Show. That first finger has to do with our sense of self, our self-esteem. And look what she's doing. She's comforting it over there. She's like, not anymore, I'm not, because you told me about it. But that's how cool body language is your subconscious wants the messages to go out. And so we upgrade this body language. We make sure we're not in defensive stance. We make sure that we hold strong more often. In that Facebook Live, I also said, if you're starting to feel your anxiety go up, check your fists. We'll often go into fist mode and not realize it. We'll have a fist, or I don't have a pen. Can I borrow your pen? Or if we're holding something or dropping something, we'll hold it tighter, or we'll notice it's getting tight in our hand. Relax your hands. It helps with that defensiveness as well. Is that cool, you guys? All right, big round of applause for these volunteers. But it is Christmas, so can I give you a present for being a volunteer? Would that be all right? Awesome. So I'm going to give, let's see what I have here. Oh, let's give you these. This is that one I was just talking about, the bucket list, how to get out of your comfort zone safely. But the thing is, if I give you this, you have to take the shrink wrap off and listen to it. Will you do that?
Absolutely.
That's for you.
Thank you.
And this one, called Don't Dump Your Cup, this one is about balance and about being willing to receive good things that are coming to us. Because too often, if you watch people, their most common body language is to push things away. Just give somebody a compliment. What do? Push it away. Instead, if we learn to receive the good things in our life, then we can actually have more to give. So this talks about that. It also talks about procrastination. So it will work best when the plastic comes off and you listen to it. May I give this to you?
Please, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, one more round of applause for these volunteers. Thanks, you guys. Thank you very much. Okay, so on body language, I'm going to put over here, pay attention to chin, shoulders, hands, legs, and you're watching for, how do you spell neutral? N-E-U? Neutral, strong. You want neutral, strong, not defensive. Okay, cool? Yes? All right, so let's open it up now for some questions or to hear your ahas about what you're learning. Who would like to ask a question or tell us what piece you're going to take away and use so far that you've learned today? Okay. Can you grab the microphone? Thank you. And then tell us your name.
My name is Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
So I have a son who I always taught him, when you walk in a room, put your shoulders back like that. And so you see him, when he walks in a room, he stands up and and he's 22.
Nice.
But he always keeps his hands like this in front when he's walking in. So he puts his shoulders back, but he has his hands crossed in the front. So I don't know what that means. And he is a very sensitive person also. So I don't know if he's like trying to protect
How tall is
himself.
he?
He's about 5'11", 5'10".
And is he a big guy?
He is a big guy.
Okay, because sometimes guys will feel like they're too much strength, and so they'll try to bring it down a little bit by just crossing gently in front of them, because they're like, okay, I don't want to be too much.
Yeah, he's a very, very soft-spoken. He's a salesman, though, and he's great. But
And
he's
so
soft-spoken.
it's like you said, he wants to be soft, and so he's softening himself a little bit.
So
that
for
make sense?
men, it's like that.
So here's the thing to know about body language, because remember how I told the whole piece about we got to concentrate on what we're saying first before we worry about what other people are saying? One of the reasons I say that is because it will depend on more than just one body language move. You have to look at the context of what's going on. And so I suggest that when you notice it, you listen to what they're saying and see if the body language matches what they're saying. If you still don't know what it is, you go home and try it, because you also have a body. And so when you do the same body language move, you'll get to feel similar things that they're feeling.
Or listening to the words that are in your head while you're doing it.
Both, absolutely. Yeah, and so pay attention to that. And then try it yourself. I do it all the time. I'll see somebody do a body language move, and it'll be like, I'll see them standing like this, and I'm like, oh, wonder what that means. And so I'll stand like that, because if I can understand me, I can understand other people more.
Interesting.
Yeah,
That's
it's
good.
very powerful.
Yeah.
Great question. Big round of applause for hers. Okay, who's next? Did you still want to make your comment?
Way back.
Tell
when-
us your first name.
Aurella.
Hi, Rella.
Way back when you were talking about our attitude of when somebody in college hasn't made a decision. The careers are changing a lot. They may not have made a decision because maybe the career they're really intent on going into is being created while they're at college.
And so how can we use that to upgrade our unspoken words?
We shouldn't assume just because somebody hasn't decided what they want to be yet that they're not learning and taking classes that are steering them towards the course that's going to be making them the happiest. They may be still trying to figure it out by taking classes to learn, I like this, I don't like this.
Okay, so shrink it down into one sentence that people can use so they're not being judgmental in their head.
I don't think you should be thinking, oh, they haven't decided what they want to be. I think you should think they've
what
got
one
the
statement could they-
they've got the opportunity to figure out what they want to be.
Okay, so there's the statement. They have opportunity ahead of them.
Yes.
Because anytime we can change it to one positive, now we can upgrade our unspoken words.
Can I also comment? I know why I cross my arms. It's because in elementary school, you had to walk with your arms crossed through the halls to the lunchroom. I remember that. And
Yeah.
it is really hard. Our whole body, we have memory. And it
Yep.
is really hard to change memory of your body. So it has nothing to do with necessarily what I think. It's just a natural habit because 6 years of elementary school walking with your arms crossed quietly and your mouth shut and don't interrupt the teacher.
But part of
until you
it
raise your
was
hand.
not just what you did, it was the energy you
Yeah.
felt around the authorities when you did it. And that's why we're talking about this, is because that energy has such a sticking effect. And so to say, I can't change it, that's
can.
what I'm trying to say, help you see, is we can.
But it takes a long time to change.
Not
But-
always.
But I did notice, being in PTA, I noticed when kids were, kindergarten, first grade, they tended to cross their arms, some of them the same way as the teacher, and some of them mirror image of the teacher, depending on how children learn.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, round of applause for her. And right here. Right here. And you still have to say your name because they can't, so they know who's talking.
My name is Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. And I'm thinking, this is a body language show, but it's also, like you said, about communication. And I think one of the things that I'm thinking about as I'm listening to what you're teaching is that this is an opportunity for us to communicate. When we see a certain body language or whatever that's going on and we feel this energy, whether it's negative or positive, it's an opportunity to communicate with that person and find out what's really going on, not necessarily in a
Abrasive?
abrasive way or in a judgmental way, but in curiosity. And this is how we can connect.
So you're
better.
getting the message that this is about connecting with people?
Exactly.
Wonder why I would want you to get that message. It's the holidays, and the holidays are a time when everybody wants to feel good, and what they do is they look around and go, everyone else is happy but me. But the problem is everybody's saying that. And so then we all end up after the holidays going, I hate the holidays.
And I think that, we can assume and we can try to figure out it might be this and it might be that, but we're never really going to know until we open up and we start communicating with each other.
Or, without even opening up our mouth, we can open up to communicate.
Good point.
And that's one of the main things I'm wanting you to get the message of, is the opening up doesn't even have to be verbal. The opening up, it's much louder if the opening up starts with the body language. Very good comment. Thank you. Okay, round of applause for her. And then right here, and then right here. Oh, did you have your hand up too? Sorry, I didn't see yours. You can be after them.
Well, building on what you were just talking with her, as you open up the tone and the body language, I have found when I manage to think enough to do that, it opens up the verbal communication with people I don't normally talk with, who don't, who aren't. There are parts of the
'Cause they
family
get the message.
yeah, they finally, it's okay to talk to her, but, so the one will spill over into the other.
Excellent comment. I love it. Big round of applause. Okay, right here.
My name is Shawnee.
Hi, Shawnee.
So my question is, if you were to face that neighbor today at your door,
I
yelling
still
at
live by
you-
her.
yelling at you about her chihuahua chasing your children, what body language do you respond with? I'm just curious. What would you do today in the exact same situation?
Okay, so one thing to think about with energy is our center of our energy is actually our belly button, if you want to think of it that way. This is our energy center. And so if I point my belly button at somebody, they're going to feel like I am blasting energy at them. So one of the things that I think about is, will you help me for just a minute? Don't worry, it won't be scary. What's your name?
Mike.
Mike. So would you just stand right here and just face me? So notice I didn't even go all the way to turn, and he took a step back. If I turn towards him, that sends more energy to him. And so that can feel like more aggression. Does that make sense? So one of the things I focus on is I try to point my energy so it goes right past somebody and just brushes them right here instead of pointing it straight at them. If she's upset at me and I brush my energy this way, I don't reflect her huge energy right back at her, because she'll feel like that's aggression coming from me, and she'll think she's justified in continuing. So one of the things I do is I point my energy slightly past them. Now, somebody had brought up earlier that when we feel weak, we won't face somebody. The next level above that is if we feel strong, we don't feel like we have to face them. We can brush our energy past them instead of right at them. Does that make sense? And then I don't go into defensiveness, although sometimes when people are sending real negative at us, I encourage you to close off from it. You don't have to take it. But if I'm trying to diffuse a situation, will this diffuse it or ignite it? It will ignite it. So I'm not going to go into a defensive stance. I am going to also, okay, you asked, so I'm going here. So I'll let my energy brush past, but I also open it up just a little so that hers isn't pointed right at me, so that her energy can go past me and mine is going past her, or him in this case. Does that make sense? And then I don't let my weight go to one leg, and our tendency is going to be to want to back up. I keep my feet, but I don't let the energy point right at me, and if she turns, I'll turn, but I won't back up. Does that make sense? So that's how I'm managing, because that's our topic today, is managing that energy. So I'll manage the energy that way. Does that help?
Yes, that's great.
Excellent question. Hey, do you want a present for coming up here?
Sure.
Yes. Say
Yes.
yes. So you get the vision board. The vision board, how to get the left and right side of your brain working together for your results. Okay? Thank you very much. Big round of applause for him and for her. Thank you for your question, Shawnee. Right here. And what's your name?
My name is Ross.
Hi, Ross.
I grew up as a kind of a shy child for a lot of reasons. And I've always found it difficult to make small talk, and my wife hates it when I use that term, small talk.
We can
I got-
rename it, but we know what you're
It's the
talking
same
about.
thing. It was interesting because I got into a job after a lot of false starts that required a lot of interaction. Actually, I was a headmaster of a private school.
Wow.
And, talked to people all the time and was looked up to and appreciated. And it was very easy for me to talk about things at the school that had to do with the school. But still that shyness and still the inability to make small talk. And I find now as an old retired person, I'm a happy person, but At church, I sit over with my arms folded and kind of hide out in the corner. But the shyness is there. When people come to talk to me, I don't know what to talk about. And so that's kind of a dilemma. I'm not sure how to, I understand what you're saying, that changing my body language will open things up. But when people come to me and want to just talk, I don't know what to talk about.
So one other piece about this unspoken upgrade is giving ourselves permission to have different personality than another person. There's nothing wrong with not being as extroverted as other people. Because some people, so like I said, I didn't really like people before, so I hid away from people. I chose an environment where I had to be extroverted because I want people to have shortcuts. But I have it on my calendar. I'm going to talk to people, and then I'm going to go home and be alone, because that's how I heal, is alone. Some people heal better around a lot of people. Other people need to be alone to heal. And there is nothing wrong with that. So sometimes what we got to do first is give ourselves permission to not have to be like everybody else. That it's okay. Because sometimes when we try to force something too much, it makes it worse, because it's like, I don't really want to have to talk to people. And so I'm skipping past that because I don't think I actually have the choice to want to. Is that too deep to go there?
No, not at all. That makes a lot of sense.
So if we can give ourselves permission that I actually don't want to do it all the time, then our subconscious actually will calm down a little bit and say, all right, I have permission to not have to want to all the time. So then I worked from there into, okay, well, I'm going to give myself this window of time, I'm going to go talk to people, even though I don't love it. And then afterwards, I have permission to not have to. Because we actually, and I'll just go, you guys are a fun, deep group. This is awesome. What we actually will do is we spend more time in the emotion of beating ourselves up about it than we ever spent in the actual time of the painful thing. And that extra time spent beating ourselves up wears us out for the time that we want to spend around people. And so if we actually give ourselves permission for that downtime, we're not spending all the time in beating self up. It actually can make it easier to go interact with people in the period of time that we choose. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and notice that breath you took right there. It's like, yeah, I need to do that. Because we spend so much time holding ourselves to a standard really hard that that's all our energy is spent there. And when I can relax it, then it's like, all right, I had a break. Now I can go try again. Does that help?
Yep.
Thank you for asking that. I appreciate it, Ross. Round of applause for Ross. Okay, so can you believe we only got 15 minutes left? Did that go fast? Yeah, it goes really quick. And I just want you to know I love the kinds of questions and comments that you're making, because, I don't know, maybe I will just say this. It tells me a lot about you, because I watch your answers and your questions more than I listen to them. And so I see, and I just want to honor the fact that I see in this room that we've all been people in our past that have had hard things or hurt things. There isn't anybody that doesn't have a hurt or a broken or a hard in their past. And I just want to honor you for that. And the reason I say that is because I want you to know that those things in our past does not mean we can't be who we choose in the future. That I see your access to your amazingness as very much higher even now because you've overcome things in your past, not less. You are powerful, strong people. Because in this room today, I've seen people who have gotten programs in their past that say that they are not enough and that their value comes only from their doing, not from their being. I've seen people in this room that have done their best to be obedient, so that other people will tell them they have value. I see people who have been hurt. I see people who have actually hurt others, but not on purpose. And that being said, what I also see in this room is opportunity for amazingness. Because I see a room full of people who have chosen to come learn things that they can do now to change their communication, to change their body language. And I think you're all amazing. And I want you to know that. Because I see a lot more in people than I will usually tell them. Because when I tell them, they freak out. I recently was at a doctor's office, and it was a doctor, 2 doctors in the office, a father and a son, both doctors. And I was talking to the father, and I was watching him, because that's what I do. And I was like, wow, there's some intensity here and some relationship problems. And finally, for some reason, he came over to me and he goes, so what do you do? And I was like, So I turned and I looked up at him and I said, well, I'm a body language expert. And he goes like this, oh, I don't want to talk to you anymore. And he left the room and never came back. And I even went back to the doctor's office a second time, and he never came out. He sent his son to talk to me. It freaks people out sometimes when they know what I can see. But I want you guys to know that I see amazingness in you. So give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. And thank you for being the kind of people that are willing to learn something that you can go put into practice to be able to have a different result this holiday. If you do this walking down the grocery store aisles, if you do this while talking to your family members, if you do this while you're in the workplace, if you do this when a neighbor knocks on your door, if you do these things, you'll have different results. It doesn't mean that it'll be perfect instantly, but start paying attention to the different results that you get. Because as I've put this into practice in my life, it's made a big difference. When I drove away from the Master Your Influence class and I was thinking, what in the world am I going to do? Actually, I was looking out the windshield because looking out the sunroof, that would be dangerous while driving. But I was thinking, what am I going to do? I pulled into the garage and I'm walking in the house and I hadn't decided what to try. And when I opened the door, all my kids happened to be sitting in the family room. And I thought, oh, shoot, this is my chance. What am I going to do? So I'm still trying to decide. So I get to the door. I don't know what to do. And I go, hi, everyone, I'm home. And the kids are like, huh? And I'm like, no, I'm going to own this. And all of a sudden, my 13-year-old ran across the room and hugged me. My kids were so hungry for me to be open to them. I had no idea that they would take this corny person standing in the doorway over the one that had been pushing them away. And so in that moment, I knew I had to do something different. I knew I had to keep working on this. So I highly suggest you learn more about body language. Learn more about your communication and how to get your goals and what to change so that you get a new result. Because when you do, it affects every area of your life. You'll see other people differently. You'll see people, you'll honor them for the struggles they've gone through, instead of just be frustrated with them because they're short with you. You'll see your family members differently. It changes your spouse relationship. It changes your kid relationships. It changes the way you interact with people at the grocery store. Just so you know, sometimes when I'm at the store and I need to ask where something is, I still have that twinge of fear. It still scares me, but I push through it and I ask anyway, because I know that the result of getting out of that comfort zone is worth it. So put some of these things into practice this holiday. Try some of them out. And if you want to come to the Master Your Influence class, I highly recommend it. The next Master Your Influence class, if you look on the back of your body language show handout, this is a brand new handout. You guys are the first ones to actually have this handout. Aren't you cool? Right here it says the Master Your Influence, and it talks a little bit about that class. If you see, it says on the lower left side, it says, learn the 3 keys to overcoming your mental filters. That filter is between your conscious and your subconscious. Body language is one of the things that bridges it, but learn the 3 keys to it. The 15 principal areas of body language and 3 effective steps to recalibrate your mind. At the Master Your Influence class, you'll learn also about vision boards. We have amazing ways to use vision boards to help you accomplish your goals faster. Is this true? Anybody who's been to the Master Your Influence class? Powerful information. The next one of these is February 22nd through the 24th. February 22nd through the 24th. The next one after that, you can even just write this on your paper. You can come February 22nd through the 24th or May 10th through the 12th. We do this class 4 times a year. It's at the Salt Palace, downtown Salt Lake. Have you learned something in 2.5 hours? Yes. Imagine 24 hours of training. When you come to the Salt Palace, you come a little early the first day so that you can get your name tag. That way, if you volunteer to go up on stage for some reason and you forget who you are, you can cheat and read it. You also get your book, your manual for the class. Here is an example of the manual from the class we just taught in November. If you notice in here, we have pictures and words because we know that the left and the right side of the brain need to be fed. We'll talk about facial indicators. We'll talk about, here's one of my favorite parts, is all the different fingers. Because I talked about Lisa's finger when she was up here, who's sitting by Teresa. And each finger sends a different message. I teach a class called Break Free Intensive. At the Break Free Intensive, all that happens for 2 straight days is people come up to the front. I work with them on their body language. I watch fingers a lot because they tell a lot of message. Because people don't realize that people are watching their fingers or their feet. They don't realize this. And when it comes to body language, our facial indicators, those ones are harder to control. You ever had your eye twitch and you couldn't stop it? There's more things there that we can't control as much. You'll also learn about the vision boards, you'll learn about the filters, you'll learn about the different emotions. Like, what was your name? Nella? No. Yeah. Rella. Like she brought up, our entire body is a recording device. And here's some of the main places in our body we store different emotions. And when we understand that, we can change our programming. So there's lots of powerful information that you will get. And you take this home with you, and you can review it later. But the thing is we understand how your brain works, so we teach in a way that you retain more of the information. Because we also like to have fun. Did you have fun here today too? I want to make sure that it's fun and it's not just, oh my gosh, can it be lunchtime yet? Because I am highly vested in education. Both of my parents are educators. My mom taught kindergarten and my dad taught college my whole life, so they were the bookends. Some of them, they would teach the same kids. My mom would have them in kindergarten, and then 15 years later, my dad would have them at college. So I'm highly vested in education. It matters a great deal to me. So I would highly suggest you come to Master Your Influence if you want to learn more about body language and communication. The majority of that class is taught by Kirk Duncan, the owner of the company. You'll see me there as well. And in your handout, some of those classes I teach, or I teach at, And then he teaches the majority, and then his wife also teaches one class. So those are the 3 main trainers in the company. So what I would ask is when you come to the Master Your Influence, who's already coming? Any of you? Awesome. Come say hi to me, because I would like to see you. So come say hi to me while you're there. I recently did a body language class like this up in Logan. And so if you know a group of people that needs body language training, come talk to me, because that's one of the things that I get to do is travel around and teach people about body language. But I was doing this class up in Logan. Would you bring that up for me? I was teaching this class up in Logan, and after the class, this guy came up that had worked with my husband, and my husband had sent him to the class. Well, I didn't know this at the time, so he had had no experience with 3 key elements before. And after the class, he came up and he said, I want you to know, I just went to a class. It was a 2-day class, and I had to travel, I think it was Arizona that he went to. He said, I paid $6,000 tuition to go to that class. And he said, Ann, I learned more in your 2-hour body language class than I learned in that whole 2 days. And so when I tell you that this class has this 3-day class, when I say that we've compared it to other classes out there that are $1,800, it's not an understatement. I mean, it is an understatement, whatever I'm supposed to say there. It's an overstatement? Okay, I'm confused now. It's not an overstatement, because he just told me he paid $6,000 to go to that 2-day class. And he says, I got more out of that evening with you, Ann. And I was like, wow. And so I'm excited to see when he comes to the Master Your Influence class, what he takes away from that. Because our regular tuition for the Master Your Influence is what? $227. It says that on your flyer. Now, when I went to it, that was not the tuition. When my husband signed me up for it, it was much more than that. But we have realized in the company that our mission is to empower people, empower them with the information to free their mind and clear their heart so that they can move forward towards their goals. And so our interest is in teaching people so they'll take this home to their families, to their workplace, and we can all have a higher level of energy because we all have this level of influence on each other. Everybody we meet is going to feel of our energy. So 227, but because it's Christmas, who likes Christmas? Oh, half the class. If you use these things, you'll like Christmas more, okay? Those of you that didn't like Christmas, you'll like Christmas more. I have some giveaways because it's Christmas. And in this right here, this is where everybody put their enter to wins. Did everybody get one in here? Yes? Yes? Awesome. Okay, so I am going to draw some names out of here because I have some more audio CDs to give away. Good answer. Okay, so I have here, I have another copy of the bucket list and the Don't Dump Your Cup that I gave away. I also have one here called Anchors Away. This one is have you ever been in a boat that the anchor was down and you tried to go forward? Doesn't work so good. You got to get the anchor up or cut it loose before you can move forward. Well, in our lives, we will have experiences or emotions from our past that act as anchors that are slowing us down. And so this is a mentoring principle on how to cut those loose so that we can move forward faster. And so I have a copy of that. And then also this one is called 3 a.m. If you're trying to access inspiration or figure out direction or ideas for reaching your goals, this is a powerful mentoring principle. I also have, I have those and these. Okay, so I'm going to pick out 4 names to give these to. Who would want one? Good answer. Okay, So we'll get 4 names out of here. Okay, so our winners are, drum roll please. Okay, so this one goes to Spencer Hatch. Yay! This is like Price of Right. Spencer, this is where you run up. Yay! Congratulations. Then this one right here goes to Melissa Young. Yay! You're welcome. And then this one right here goes to Diane Butler. Congratulations. And then this one right here, this one goes to Teresa Mason. You're welcome. Okay, remember, they work better if you take the shrink wrap off. Take the shrink wrap off. And so then this one right here, I have one more name. This one, I'm going to give you a copy of all 3 of these. The vision board, the anchors away, and the 3 a.m. I want these to all go to the same person, because when you come to the Master Your Influence class, if you've listened to these before you come, you'll hear the information at a deeper level. And so it's very powerful. They're audio, so it's legal to listen to them in the car. It is legal to listen to them while you're working out. You can put them on your phone and listen to them while you're walking through the grocery store. And this information, have this in your head before you come to the Master Your Influence class. So I'm going to give all 3 of these away to one person. And these together are a $54 value. Anybody want those? Yay! Okay, so this one goes to Teresa Peterson. Yay! Hey, that was the correct body language. Good job. Do I get a hug? Oh, yeah. Awesome. Congratulations. All right, one more round of applause for Teresa. Okay, so because it's Christmas and you invested some of your Christmas season here with me, all of you online, this applies for you as well. And they're going to give you information on your screen on how you can access this. Because you came today, and because my husband signed me up for the Master Your Influence, this offer I'm about to give you applies for you or anybody else that you would want to use it for today. Because it's the holidays, and I'm highly interested in February is a great time to come get more information to make your 2018 amazing. That's what I talked about on my Facebook Live yesterday, was one of the main things we can look at to access more of amazingness and abundance for the coming year. And so because of that, I'm going to give you special tuition. I'm going to write a different number right here. And I'm going to write it in a moment, but I want you to choose in based on the fact that we're not going to teach at a lower level because we give you a better offer. We're not going to take anything away from the class. All I'm doing is getting past your chicken exits and giving you an opportunity to also spread this kind of thing to people around you. So what I'm going to do is this. For the first 10 people that register, I'm going to give you a copy of, Teresa, will you held up all those CDs? You get a copy of all 3 of these CDs, plus a 4th one called Perfection is a Direction. If you don't think you're a perfectionist, you need to listen to that CD to find out what part of perfectionism is biting you so that you can move forward faster in the year 2018. And just because it's the holidays, I'm also going to include one called Building a Mind of Steel. Studies show the majority of the thoughts that go through our head are negative. In fact, it's estimated we have 65,000 thoughts a day, and that 48,000 of them are negative. We don't need somebody else to stop us from reaching our goals. We're too busy doing it ourselves. Okay, 5 CDs, only at Christmas, okay? It's the only time you'll get this offer. First 10 people, you get all 5 of those. Everybody who registers gets the copy of the Building a Mind of Steel CD. Everybody. And then the first 10 people to register, you go right out this door to register, and they'll help you at the front desk. And even though that is I just added this, so I have to add it up, because the 4 CDs together are a $74 value, and then add to that 17, 74, 84, 91. $91 value in audio recordings. And you'll get them as an audio download, so they'll already be ready for your phone to listen to them. You're going to get all 5 of those to listen to and do it before you come to Master Your Influence. So I'm going to give you this other tuition, and the first 10 people get those. When you come to Master Your Influence, you'll come to the Salt Palace downtown, and you'll notice that we pay close attention to detail. There'll be a screen up on both sides of the stage, so everybody in the room has the best seat in the house. There'll be a stage up front so that you can see well. You are going to have your books, so you can take lots of notes. And just know that because you came, your energy will contribute to that class as well. You make a difference. And we have an activity in that class where we make a difference in a lot of people's lives. It's very powerful. Is that true, those of you that have been? If you've been before, I recommend you take advantage of this and come again. So here's your new tuition. First 10 people that want to go out there, you get the added $91 value of CDs. But here's your tuition. What is it? $79. Why? Because it's Christmas and because I see who's in this room. I see the kind of people that are here. I want you to take advantage of it. So if you want to be one of the first 10, feel free to go out there into the door. And then I have I have a moment here. Are there any questions about this offer? Any questions about that? Any possibility? Yeah, you're going to come to the class. Do you mean for the CDs? So if you want to purchase a gift one for another person, then you could have all the CDs for you, all the download. You could do that. That would be an awesome idea. Somebody would get a great Christmas. Great question. Any other questions? All right, awesome. I will stay here for a few minutes after if you want to ask me about my group mentoring program or you have other questions. But other than that, you register out there. Give yourselves a big round of applause for being here today. And all of you online, watch your screen for what website to go to. You guys are awesome. Make it a great holiday.